we are live. All right. Welcome to today's Magical Tea Talk, Coffee 2. I'm here with my co-host for today, which is Ursula. And I'm going to introduce myself first. So I'm Cindy Hernandez. I'm a licensed massage therapist, NLP practitioner, and immigrant identity coach. I help people from immigrant backgrounds release the barriers that are holding them back from creating the life that they want. And then my co-host Ursula, she's going to explain a little bit what she does and who she is.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We got some good stuff going on.
I'm Ursula Duffy. I am a professional astrologer and a certified aromatherapist. And in my business, Ursa Alchemy, I blend astrology and aromatherapy and intuitive arts, and I help people live in touch with their soul.
All right. Ursula is amazing, guys. I just want to let you know that she has helped me in my journey as well. And so today we were actually going to talk about the moon and what we're going through right now and how to flow with it and realize that we are not in control half of the time, actually most of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah, that's right, Cindy. So the full moon that we just had yesterday, it was around 1:30 in the morning. So the fullness has just passed us, and it was in the sign of Pisces. When we have a full moon, it's always when the moon and the sun are opposite each other. So the sun right now is in Virgo, and the sign opposite Virgo is Pisces. So that's why the full moon was in Pisces. And the sign of Pisces is all about surrender. It's representative of our connection to spirit, our connection to each other, just wholeness on a soul level, oneness. And a good analogy for Pisces is the ocean. So just think about how vast that is. And when you're looking at the ocean on the surface, you can't even fathom. We don't even know how much is actually below. So Pisces teaches us to actually the title of the post that I did on the moon was Trust the Unknown, which is something that Pisces teaches us, but also when I looked at the chart for the full moon, that was one prominent thing that I saw. And it's just, it's a very dreamy sign, very intuitive, very empathic, really helps us get in touch with our emotions. Think about the flowing nature of water. It's a water sign. So when we talk about the axis of Virgo and Pisces, Virgo tends toward control, and Pisces is not control, surrender. So that's the energy that we were under for this full moon. And when I wrote about it, the quote that I chose was, "Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go." And that's from Herman Hesse.
Yeah, that's when the flow happens, when you totally let go of things because we're never in control. And then when we try to be in control, we're in this anxiety, we're in this all of the emotions, we're actually in them, and we're not allowing things to come through. And that's the thing, is like we're never really in control of anything. Like a lot of shit just happens, and then what do? We either lash out, or we let our emotions take over rather than just allowing it to just happen. These things are like not it's not nothing that we can control.
Yeah, especially the current state of the world.
Yeah, yeah,
It's teaching us a lot about surrender, isn't
yeah. So much surrender. And I really loved your post too, because you also talked about, like being one, and we all are one. And that's the thing. It's like when we come back to it, it's like we're all here for one thing, and we're all here for love, and we're all in that space of love. So like nothing else matters. It's like coming back down to it. Like we're all here, we're all the same. No one's different if we really look at it. We're unique, but we're really the same.
it? Yeah. one of the big things with Pisces energy too is compassion and empathy. And I think that it's really helpful for us to return to that, especially, as tensions are running really high right now. It's really important for us to remember how to get back to center and find that place and know how to get back there and get back there quickly when we start feeling angry or frustrated or anxious, like you said.
Yeah, and we were talking about this with Val last time too, and it was like really coming back down to, being human, but not in that human form where we have normalized things to be like quick, 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 but actually being human and knowing that, that person is going through something, that we're all going through something at the same time, and just having that, emotional connection. Because what happens is like we just think about ourselves. Most of the time, we're just so quick to do our own things that we're not thinking about everybody else. We're not concerned, or we're not, and it's really coming back to that. Like, as humans, we want to be kind, we want to be loving, we want to be all of these things.
Yeah, coming back into the heart space for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I also felt called to pull a card because it's just astrology is a lot easier to understand when with context and symbols and story and all that kind of thing. So um, the card that came to me when I was meditating on the post and what I wrote and the chart of the moon and all that was the Two of Swords, and I use the Rider Waite deck. So if you look at the card, for those who can't see, who might not be familiar with the card, it is a woman sitting in a chair, and there's a sea or an ocean or something, a big body of water behind her, and she's holding up two very big, they look heavy, right? Two very big swords, and they're crossed in this very defensive position over her chest, and she's blindfolded, and she has a waxing moon in the background.
So good.
So this card really spoke to the energy that we're in, just Virgo season in general, and then with the Pisces full moon. And just all she has to do is drop the swords.
Yeah, let go.
Release it, right?
Yeah.
Let go, surrender, and then she can take her blindfold off. Because, the only person holding her in that position is herself. And swords represent air, so our thoughts. So it spoke to me in the energy of just getting out of our heads, back into our hearts, back into that, intuitive, emotional space, and that it's up to us to do that.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so true though. Like, yeah, that card was like perfect. Like even the water, because you remember how you were saying like the ocean and just like releasing. And that's pretty much all we have to do is release. But we're so tight to hold on. And I actually wrote a post about this the last time. It's like when usually we always have a guard up on our hearts. But what's reflecting back is your fear. So it's reflecting back like you're not allowing more love in. You're actually reflecting all your fears back into your heart. Rather than if you just surrendered, you would allow so much more to come in. You would allow all of it to flow, all the abundance that you want to flow.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. And then a lot of times too, we'll feel the intense energy of the moon in our own bodies. So for me, I had a very interesting experience this full moon. It kind of started on Sunday, actually, so a couple days before, and all I could do was sleep. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to. And one of the tendencies with Pisces energy too is escapism. So sometimes it is okay to do that, you know? It's okay to allow yourself to take a break, watch a movie, sleep, and dream, and just not go so much. And I had some interesting physical things happen to me too with my stomach. So the last couple of days have just been sleep and really not much else. And that's okay. That's what my body was telling me to do. That's what the energy was telling me to do. So that's what I did. I didn't force anything. I didn't force through it. I didn't push through it. Years ago, I probably would have, but not anymore.
But it's from the same thing too, of like, if you look at it, it's like breaking free from, your daily day stuff. And usually you would be active, right? So then instead you did something different, and that was you going in with the flow and you not going into that structure that we're always in. It was actually like breaking free from that.
And interestingly enough, with the water energy, all I could do was drink fluids. I couldn't even eat. It was really strange. Not a typical full moon experience for me, but for this one it was.
It's so interesting. It's cool.
How was it for
But
you?
yeah, for me, it was like I felt heavy. I felt like a lot. I felt like a lot of the emotions that were coming through. And I was telling Valeri, my co-host too, that I felt like I needed to release. And like I felt like I could feel all of the energy that we needed to come back to our heart space, that everybody needed to come back down to that, because everybody's so quick on the go, go, go that they're not paying attention to their life. They're not living their life. They're actually just these mechanical beings doing what they have to do rather than coming back into that space. So for me, it was like I needed to release that. It was that release, and I felt heavy.
Yeah, there was a heaviness to it, and other people have told me they just felt strange. Insomnia was one of the things I was hearing from people, which can happen around the full moon and anyway, but I think this one was just especially intense.
Yeah.
One of my teachers says that we've certainly become more human doings rather than human beings.
Yeah,
I just love it when
it's
she says
true.
that, because it's so true.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. What's interesting is that you know how to work with it. You know what's going on. You know how not to let it affect you so much. And that is amazing, because most people would be like, oh no, it's just a full moon, I'm just going to allow myself to feel like this, rather than just going through it and allowing yourself to release whatever needs to be released, or bring in new stuff. And in order to bring in new stuff, you have to release.
Yep. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, and we're in that energy once a month.
Yeah.
So it's really nice, just track it, know when the moon's coming, know when the full moon's coming, and just trust your intuition. The moon's all about our intuition and our emotions and our sense of safety and security. It can also affect digestion, so it was interesting that I had that experience. And it's a time of, like you were saying, release. It's a time of gratitude. It's also a time to reflect on when the moon was new. So we had a new moon in Leo at the end of August. I think it was on the 22nd. I forget the exact date. But it's really nice to work with the moon cycles as well. Work with the lunar cycle every month, and then the long game is 6 months. So think back to February, actually kind of before all this started with the pandemic in the United States, at least. On February 23rd, we had the new moon in Pisces. So reflect back on what was going on in your life at that point in time too, any intentions that you had set at the new moon, and kind of, full circle, where are we now when the energy is culminated 6 months later when it's full on the same sign.
That's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of us don't even reflect back on to, what we've created or how far we've come or what has been going on. We're so busy that we don't have the time to reflect. But if you just take that time, you can actually create so much more too, because you're actually taking that time to actually set your goals, set what you want to do, and work with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, new moons are for intention setting and manifesting. And then the fullness, we kind of look back and release what's no longer serving us. And I always write in my posts, look up at the moon and offer gratitude and release.
Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to touch up on was, you said, it slows down your metabolism most of the time. But so it's funny because this is all really connected. So the reason why, for me, as a massage therapist, it's when we're in that fight or flight mode, with that go, 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 and we're not taking the time to pause to actually allow things to flow, that slows down our metabolism because it stops working what isn't necessary. It starts working what's like really important. And for us, what's really important is our heart. So it like works that up. And sometimes it works it up too much because we're so on the go that then it stops our digestion. It stops all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we allow ourselves to like slow down, go with the flow rather than trying to be in control, we allow everything to flow evenly through our body, our physical body, our, everything.
Yeah, and the moon's very closely related to the fluids in the body.
Yeah.
So, do you deal with that with like when people have lymph issues? Do you notice that when they're in that?
I haven't actually, I haven't even paid attention to that, but now that you mention it, I'm going to like start realizing.
Yeah, because massage therapy is so good for that.
Yeah.
Just getting the
That's
fluids
cool.
that we don't even pay attention to.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my God. Now you
working. Everything's working so well, beneath the surface in our own bodies too,
Yeah.
that we don't even.
We're all fucking connected. So it only, that's so good.
Yeah, and then one of the other things that I do is the astrological aromatherapy. So every full moon, I make a blend, and the blends are based on the signs of the zodiac that the sun and the moon are in. And then usually I'll add a third oil based on the chart. So, excuse me, the blend that I made for the full moon this month featured lavender, which is the essential oil, the signature oil for Virgo, which is where the sun is, and Melissa or lemon balm, which is the signature oil for Pisces. And the third oil that I put in it was basil, which is the signature oil for Gemini. And that was just based on what I saw on the chart when I looked at the chart for the full moon.
Yeah, your oils are so good too.
Thank you.
Yeah. She does some unique stuff for like depending on your body too. So like for me, she did a blend for what I was going through. Like she did my natal chart too. So she works with that and she makes a blend out of it to work for you and to, the benefits of just essential oils are incredible. And it helped me a lot. So I am so grateful for that.
The lunar blends are 1 year old at this point. This is the lunation that was the anniversary too. It was really funny when I reflected back on it. The first one that I did when I met Julie of Little Goddess Yoga. We talked about it, and then it was her. Actually, a year ago was the first full moon circle that she held, and we talked about it. And I said, "Oh, it'll be fun to do a blend for that." And she's like, "Do you want to?" And I said, "Sure." So that's when the lunar blends were born.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
And like just bringing in that, I don't know, that like smell, like bringing in those oils together and then just like allowing yourself to like sit down and write down all of the things that you want to release and then write down all of the things that you want to create and then just taking that all in. It's so good. So good.
Yeah. I find them so soothing.
Yeah.
Because whenever there's an opposition, with the full moon, it's the sun and the moon, but there's other planets that are opposing each other now and stuff like that. And whenever there's an opposition, there's a bit of tension. So part of the energy we experience during the full moon is that tension of the opposition as well. So I find blending the oils of the opposing signs really helps with easing that tension that you can just feel in the air. So I'll usually diffuse them or make a spray, or you can even use it for anointing.
Yeah, that's so good. And it's so interesting because, now that I think about it, it's like, okay, imagine like all the changes that are going up, like in the moon phases, right? So those changes, imagine yourself going through those changes too. Like it's that shift, it's that tension, it's like that. So then we feel it too because we're all energetic beings, right? So we feel all the things. And so their phases and our phases, we feel it. So it's good to have that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love working with it.
So good. And so, is there anything that you want to, any tips that you want to leave them with on, working with this moon phase right now?
Yeah, if there's anything left, I mean, we're sort of moving out of the full moon energy at this point. It's going into that disseminating phase. So if there's anything that, culminated yesterday or a couple of days before yesterday, as it started for me on Sunday, just if there's still time to reflect on it, there's still time to release. I think that a wonderful practice is actually journaling with the moon, dreaming with the moon. So, just keeping a dream journal, knowing what phase the moon's in, and like you were saying, work with it, what's happening in your life. It's the easiest cycle to work with because we can see it, and it's the fastest one because it's only 28 days. So there are some journals that are out there. One's called We Moon. It's WE''MOON, and they have calendars and they have journals, so you don't have to think about it. Just open to the page and it'll tell you what sign the moon's in, and it'll tell you what phase it is, because the moon goes through each sign every month too. It spends about 2.5 days in each sign. So it's a really cool practice. And then I believe that they also have sections where you can set intentions and, practices for the culminating points, the new moons and the full moons.
And what did you say that was called? We Moon?
We Moon, WE''MOON. The calendars are beautiful too. The artwork is, it's interesting. I love it. And I think they're all women too that run that business.
That's so cool. So wemoon.com?
I think so.
I'm going to write it down in the comments for you guys. Just, you have that. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. I did it for a whole year very diligently. And it was really interesting to see how it affects us and shows up in our life, especially with the sign. And then also knowing how it relates to your own chart. That's really helpful too. Like I'll do very specific intentions because I know my chart. So I know where the full moon happened in my own chart yesterday. So it adds another layer to the practice, knowing what house to focus on, what themes of your life, what area of life. And I write about them. I write about the new and full moons every month.
Yeah. So if you can just leave them where they can find you, and how can they sign up for their monthly? Is it monthly that you do the new moons, or?
Yeah, I write about the new and the full on my blog. So my website is 3Ws, ursaalchemy.com. URSAALCHEMY.com.
Yeah.
So if you just subscribe to my blog, you'll get the notifications. And I have a monthly newsletter, and I'll post about the blend. I sell the blends as well. There's always one for the full moon. So those will go up in my store a week before the moon, so there's enough time to ship them.
So good.
And
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're doing that now.
yeah, it was a big step. And I'm also on Instagram, Ursula Alchemy on Instagram.
And you guys can find me at cinderellaspa.com, and I'm on Instagram, Cinderella Spa. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this live. And thank you, Ursula, so much for joining us. I know you're going to be going live with Valeri soon too, right? Talking about all the new pieces. So stay tuned for that, guys.
Next week
and more. Actually, you know what? I'm going to add this. So Ursula and Valeri are you guys still doing your combo? Yeah. So they have this natal chart, and Valeri does the healing towards it too. And you guys did an amazing job. For me, like I was on a high for a whole month when I got that healing done. It was crazy. And it like made me curious about it, about like, the moon phases and everything. And especially like right now, like I was learning more about Saturn and like all of the things. And I always talk to you about how connected it is to NLP and how it's like the same thing, but it's, yeah, it's just the same thing. And so I'm gonna, recommend you guys to totally check them out because they did an amazing job. And Ursula recommends awesome books for whatever it is that you need. And she did an amazing job. So
Yeah, we called it intuitive heart and soul healing, and that's up on both of our websites, mine and Val's.
yeah, it
Thanks,
was so
Cindy.
good. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.